Thanks, everyone for coming. And I think that what we should do to start off is just talk a little bit about who we have here. I was really excited when these guests said that they would come talk to us, because I feel like, at least in my eyes, I've been stalking them on LinkedIn and they're like they're celebrities to me. So first off, we have Leonard Bullock, and if I am saying your names incorrectly, just let me know. And he is an instructional designer at Lenovo with a focus on artificial intelligence, high performance computing, edge computing, VR, and AR from the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area. And he coordinated the founding of Heritage High School Game Art and Design Career Academy, which is awesome. And I realized that before I introduce people, you should probably know we're IDLance. I'm Andrea Dotling, and we've got Parker here, Parker Grant. And we are the co-head honchos of IDLance. If you don't know what we do, we have a community of freelance instructional designers, and we also staff and run learning projects using our community of instructional designers. But the difference is we mentor everybody through the process, check in with the clients, check in with the freelancers, make sure everything's going well. So let's go on to our next guest, which is Tracy Mendolia-Moore. Did I get that right? Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
you're good.
Okay, cool. I was looking at notes, so I didn't get to see your head nod there. And she is the manager of 3D education and technology innovations at the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning at Western University of Health Sciences. She is from San Dimas, California, and fun fact, leader of the Girl Scouts of Greater Los Angeles and a dedicated member of Kiwanis. And last but not least, we have Yuna Hur, and she has worked with us actually on a number of projects at IDLance. She has been lucky enough to be one of our clients, but actually we've been lucky enough to be, one of her contractors there. So she is a learning and development manager at Sidecar Health, who likes learning about brain science and AI ethics, and co-wrote and published a children's book featuring intentionally diverse representation called The ABCs of Positivity, which is amazing. And she is currently in Boston, Massachusetts, I believe, right? Are you still there? Yep, awesome. So what's going to happen here is we are going to ask some questions. And we're going to give each of the panelists a turn to be the first person to talk and answer one of those questions. We'll open it up for discussion for the group. And then once we go through those questions, we'll have a brief Q&A session. So anybody else? Parker, is anything you want to say before we get started?
Welcome, everybody. That's all I have to say. I'm so excited to go through this. So yeah, just let me know when we get started.
Go for it. Let's start with the first question right away.
Okay. Well, welcome, panelists. I would love to first ask this question to Tracy to kick this off. One of the big things about AI is that it's turning the industry upside down. It's unbelievable what has come out this year, and I can't imagine what will be 5 years, 10 years down the road. But with that said, Tracy, what keeps you up at night regarding the implementation of AI, and especially in learning development programs? So what are some of the things that come to your mind that keep you up?
Yeah. So it's really been a fire hose of information, and trying to keep up with it all over the last, not even a full year, right? Since ChatGPT was released. It was released in November of 22, but like November 30th. So we're not even a full year, but trying to keep up with it all has been crazy. The thing that honestly keeps me up at night that, I find just fascinating, the topics of job displacement, upskilling, reskilling, trying to rethink pedagogy. And what does it look like for the future of education now that we have artificial intelligence as, just in the last year, a significant part of our life that's going to only grow and multiply? And what does that mean to undergrads that are just starting their freshman year in college? In 4 years, 5 years from now, what does that future look like for those individuals? I find that one of those things that we're just not sure yet, and that's one of those pieces that keeps me up.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure probably 100 things that will come to mind tomorrow. I mean, that's how rapidly this is changing. Some thoughts from Leonard or Yuna. Do you have any things that keep you up?
Yeah, I agree with Tracy. Like it has been a fire hose since the beginning of the year, it seems like. But there has been a lot of work done around artificial intelligence for quite some time now, and so we kind of saw this coming, right? But thinking about it, one of the things that really, really concerns me is the possibility of being left behind. All right. And I speak, from my background as a classroom teacher, and as an instructional designer, right? As just being within the community of learning and development. Oftentimes, when new technical innovations make their way onto the market, in a lot of instances, we often get those things very, very late, right? And so, just being left behind is something that really, really concerns me. And its impact on K through 12 education, from my experience in both public and corporate education, I think that business plays a pivotal role in shaping the public school system. And I think that it lies an opportunity for us as instructional designers to kind of lead the charge for our classroom teachers. You talk about integrating AI into curriculum and curriculum planning, course design, lesson structuring. These are things that really, really concern me because I know what it's like to be a classroom teacher and get things 10 years behind, right? It's a little bit too late. And then to have to teach to students, at that point, it's a little bit too late, I look at what's going on like with social media. I wish we would have 10 years ago started teaching children about social media, as opposed to now, where I feel like it's a little bit too late. So, those are just some things that really, really concern me.
Wow. Yeah, that's really important to be able to keep our kids up to date with that. And I'm sure there's a battle too with some teachers might be thinking, oh, AI, maybe could be considered the wrong thing to use because it might not help them learn. But then there's a body of teachers who are saying, yeah, you have to learn to use the tools to be able to survive. So it's probably one of those things that different teachers. Yeah.
It speaks to something that Tracy was speaking when she was talking about the fear associated with losing like jobs and stuff like that, right? It's the same thing for a teacher, right? Like, how do I use this tool to enhance my instruction? So it's a big deal.
And real quick, I definitely want to hear from you, but I will lose this thought because I don't have a good enough brain to keep it for 2 more seconds. I've been thinking a lot, like when I was in schools and even just working a lot with kids, like digital literacy, right? It was like this big movement. I feel like I heard those words all the time a few years ago. Then all of a sudden I feel like I'm not hearing it as much, but it seems more relevant than ever. And that's, everything from using these AI tools and being able to interpret, like, what's the source of this and should I trust this, and being able to evaluate all of that. I mean, that is like huge now more than ever to have teachers know that skill, because it's not as, you don't grow up, become an adult and just know how to do that, right? You need to learn that kind of thing, and then being able to teach them so that they can teach the younger generations is, and I said younger
keeping up with that too, right? And keeping up with that kind of, Leonard, what you were saying. I think also something that keeps me up at night, or something I think about probably on a daily basis, if not multiple times throughout the day, is that, AI being so ubiquitous, and it's a lot about, we don't know what we don't know. And I think a lot of AI adoption has been quite reactive rather than proactive. As a former classroom teacher myself, really thinking about, what are creative ways and impactful ways and meaningful ways to our students to incorporate AI to really enhance and create these meaningful learning experiences for a diverse group of students. So I think oftentimes we really think about, something that I've been taught is thinking about AI as a black box. We have these inputs, we throw them into an algorithm, and then stuff comes out. But what really happens inside this black box, few and far between can really dissect that and break that down. So I think that AI is definitely promising and already has shown a lot of exciting trends and impacts that it's already had, but also it's a lot about, how can we try to be more proactive in adopting AI use, responsible AI use, and create safe guidelines that everyone, Leonard, to what you were saying of, so no one feels left behind, and really everyone feels like they are part of this conversation and they have a way to really have agency over the use of AI in a safe and impactful way.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And if there are no other thoughts on that one, that's actually a really good segue to our second question, which we're going to lead off with Leonard on that one, which is actually, what are some emerging AI trends or technologies in the L&D field that you're most excited about? And how do you envision them impacting our field, whether that's, corporate training or, higher ed, and anything really?
Well, I think that it's going to impact on a large scale, right? And so it's going to hit every one of those touch points. I am particularly excited about several things, right? First and foremost, for me, the idea of adaptive courseware, right? I think that the evolution of adaptive technology really promises when fused with ideas around gamification, the potential for really tailored learning experiences that cater to the individual needs and abilities of learners, I think it really becomes a real viable possibility. I am also very excited about XR, or mixed reality learning experiences, full immersion learning experiences. I think that within this realm, augmented reality and the fusion between augmented reality and artificial intelligence really stands out as a promising frontier. AR's integration with AI, I think, opens up enormous possibilities for interactive and immersive learning environments. I'm really interested in how artificial intelligence is going to have an impact on learning management systems and intelligent content recommendations. I think that with data and analytics in AI, the possibility or the potential to offer learners more curated learning experiences and curated content that really aligns to their interest, their learning or their learning aptitudes, I think that that's really becomes a possibility. And definitely improved scenarios for gamification. I think that, for a long time, instructional designers, just educational content developers thought about gamification in the wrong way. And I think that artificial intelligence can really help with that by offloading scenario creation and all of everything that goes into developing a scenario. I think that AI can really help on that front. So those are some things that I'm really looking at with regard to AI implementation in our field.
I'd love to latch on to some of the stuff that Leonard said. With XR and mixed realities, the development pipeline on creating unique or custom XR environments, XR scenarios, years to develop that. Whereas what we're seeing with some programs, like even just Skybox and those things that are coming out quickly with 3D renditions that are generated utilizing AI, we're able to then like really kind of take that timeline of development and maximize it, push it forward, and we're able to get these creations started and going much sooner than we would have otherwise. And then also with XR and mixed realities, that ability to create, like you were sharing, those personalized scenarios or learning environments. I mean, just imagine if you were in, say, elementary school, middle school, you could go back in time. You're learning about 8th grade history and the Declaration of Independence. What if you went back to that time and you could ask those people, because of the persona prompts that you can create with an AI, you could ask each one of our forefathers exactly what they were thinking in that moment that they created these documents, you know, and have those personalized conversations with those people. This is now possible to be able to do this. And what does that mean for learning? To what level? You know, we're talking about like Bloom's taxonomy. We've got just that low level rote memory. If we implement something like this and we're actually able to create it, you can have that student go from that low level Bloom's to that really high level Bloom's with just this type of interaction. So that's really exciting stuff that's hopefully in our lifetime and in our future.
Definitely. I think one other quick thing that I'd add, I think really taking this intersectional approach of really thinking about what makes a human human and what really can AI really enhance to create, you know, even an even better learning experience, to really augment that learning experience. And I think some of the things I've already touched on, but I'm really excited about just the continuous development of generative AI, Gen AI, especially in course creation. You know, having used different tools in helping speed up the course creation process. I think similar to what you were just saying, Tracy, in terms of, you know, how can we really build that empathy with our learners and create these scenarios that really tailor towards specific learner roles and ways that they can start applying what they've learned through different scenarios, different questions, different situations that we set up, maybe even Leonard, to your VR examples, right? Like, how can we try to create these environments in which learners can already see themselves applying these things? Right. So that when they get to the real, you know, the real application, they'll already feel prepared and hopefully that much more confident and excited because we've already scaffolded that learning with the help of AI. So I think that's just one other thing that I'm really excited for and really curious about these next couple of years and see how that develops.
Yeah, definitely. And I was just thinking about recently, like in terms of job replacement and all of that, like, you know, there's a valid fear there, right? Because you don't know what you don't know and all that. But if you think, the way I've been trying to think about it is if you can use these tools and learn how to kind of harness that power, then you get to the almost what I consider like the fun part sooner, which is like the finessing and the making it human and the making it realistic and that human touch that really only humans can do, probably, ideally, at least now. Because you can get all of that kind of grunt work, and then you can, I feel like our skills can get really specialized to be able to use those tools and produce something more efficiently, and then have more time to make it more nuanced and more I don't know, interesting and compelling and valuable. That really excites me for sure.
Yeah, I love what you were saying about earlier, Leonard, about immersing yourself in scenarios, and Tracy, what you mentioned about experiences that you can get in the classroom. It's just, I mean, where we're going to go with this is still mind-blowing, because I feel like we're just at the foothills and we got this very steep mountain to climb. But this is exciting. It's all exciting stuff. I would love to lead into the next question. I would love to ask Yuna, based on your experiences so far, what advice would you give learning development managers who are just beginning to explore AI in the program? So if they're kind of new at this, what advice would you offer?
Yeah, I think, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind immediately is don't go for the Band-Aid solution. And I feel very passionate about it. And what I mean by that is, you know, oftentimes I feel that, or what I've even heard from different conversations with folks in the L&D space, you know, AI is very exciting. It's very novel, it's intriguing, and there's so many different applications. AI isn't going to solve everything, but I think really for leaders to take a pause, really meet with different stakeholders, different groups of employees to really assess the organizational and people change readiness. You know, how do people feel about AI? What do people know about AI already? How are they using AI already that you may not even know? So I think really taking a step back, pausing, collecting all the data, making everyone feel like they are part of this conversation, inviting all voices is really, really important to go from the get-go before making any big decisions. I think secondly, really thinking about, what is the learning strategy? What is the why? If you're at an organization and thinking about incorporating some aspect of AI, really start with the why. I know Simon Sinek has that famous TED Talk, Start with Why, that always resonates with me because, if we know the purpose and really communicating that purpose out from the get-go, you can really get buy-in a lot faster that way. Then you can go to the how. How is this going to happen after you have a mutual understanding of the why? And then what is actually going to happen? And that's when you can get nitty gritty and technical and come up with different solutioning. But I feel, again, don't go for the Band-Aid solution. Don't think AI is going to solve everything, but really take a pause, get feedback from folks, sense how they feel, and then really, use that data to help figure out what is the best piece of the organization that you can start incorporating with AI. And then you can always iterate from that.
Great advice. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, that's a good analogy about the Band-Aid. Appreciate that. Other thoughts from Tracy or Leonard? What advice would you share?
I'll chime in and say, if you don't have an account with ChatGPT, get one. Let's start there, and try it out, for whatever you can, to understand how it works and refine your prompts so that way you can get some good things out of it. I think the other note of caution is don't take it for what it is, where you still have to read it. You can't just copy paste and put it into your learning module. You have to read it. You have to understand, make sure that it's like meeting the learning objectives or whatever the prompt is that you're wanting for it. And then the other, again, note of caution, don't put anything that's FERPA, HIPAA, student sensitive. All of the stuff that you're putting into, especially the free versions, are all used for the training data of the overall module. So be very cautious about the content that you are putting in there, because there is a chance that it can find its way into public view. So I think, but try it out. I think start there.
Yeah,
Great advice. I never thought about not putting, well, I wouldn't put personal data in there, but it is a good point. You don't want it to spit out somewhere else, but yeah. Leonard, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I like what Yuna said about the Band-Aid, right? Like, look, this is not going to be like the solution for every single thing, right? But it goes back to something you said earlier about like this whole reactionary approach, oftentimes that we take with these new technologies. I think it's really important for L&D managers to approach this process methodically, as they would, in any other situation. And for me, that incorporates, really investing time and doing comprehensive research within the AI domain, which ultimately speaks to education around what is artificial intelligence and how, why is it important? How can you harness it for whatever it is you need to harness it for? So, for managers, I would say surround yourself with knowledgeable experts and consult. Consult and collaborate. When necessary, bring in specialized talent. But the consultation piece is critical at this phase. We're just at the beginning of this wave. One thing I think about is how people must have felt when we moved from the prehistoric era into the agricultural era, right? When all of a sudden your day-to-day life wasn't consumed with finding food, right? it gave people time to think about things, right? It gave people time to explore new interests, other innovations. And there's so many things that came once people had time to think about other things. And that is the real potential for me around artificial intelligence, right? Like now we'll have some time to really think about other things if the AI is implemented correctly. And that requires a methodical approach.
Yeah.
Well said. That's great.
And I yeah, this is such a good conversation already. And I wanted to agree with you, Tracy, because when you're not, if you're not playing around with chat GPT, even just to find out like what the outputs are and what it sounds like and all of that, then you're not informed when in being able to spot it, right? Because once you use it, even like a few times, you can start to sniff it out. And then
Yes.
if everybody can sniff it out, then it becomes not good enough anymore. And so you really gotta, which I love, because like, okay, it's cute that you can do stuff and have like an email spit out or like a course like outline and stuff, but eventually like we're all going to hopefully be familiar with it, and everyone's going to have to sort of like up their game. You won't be able to just use it. And the same thing for students and whatnot too, but I've come into situations where I could just totally tell that
Yeah.
even if somebody edited it a little bit, I was like, this is definitely made by ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's my advice, is just get familiar with it so you can spot it and know how to make it better.
You know what's crazy is I listen to a lot of music, and so I'm always on Apple Music. And they write these descriptions underneath like the album. And I think it was sometime in July of this year. Now I've been on Apple Music for a long time, right? But it wasn't until July when I was reading one of the descriptions and I said, this is ChatGPT. Did they write all of these descriptions? And so I started going back, like reading old descriptions of albums, and yeah, it sounds like artificial intelligence, right? They have implemented that, or they had implemented that a while back, because those descriptions are totally not written by human beings.
I think that brings up a good point also, just to comment, Leonard. I think that also, and Angela, what you were saying earlier, I think that really heightens kind of that unlocking a new human potential of, let's up level, as humans, and really thinking about, detecting what's fake, what's real, and then really challenging us in a way to say, hey, like, let's make this better. Let's make this more accurate. And I think that's kind of that beauty of that intersectional approach of what makes a human human, and all those humanly innate things that we are really great at. And then thinking about what can AI do to help enhance our human ability to do things. I think one tactical example I always think of is the course creation process. In terms of, we feel like we never need to start from scratch anymore. If we start with an outline, perhaps created by some generative AI tool, and then having as humans look at that, edit that, give that context that the computer does not know, and then really take it from there. So it's, really exciting, I think, also to think of AI potentially as this buddy, or this or your personal buddy, your personal assistant, that's really accessible to a lot of us compared to just a number of years ago.
Yeah, or it's just having some kind of accountability partner, whether you're doing homework for school or just business stuff. So it's amazing.
Yeah. Cool. Well, and anything else real quick, I'll give a few seconds of silence. Good. Okay, next one I think is for you, Tracy. Can you describe any challenges or obstacles that you've encountered while learning to work with AI in a learning context?
I think challenges just fine-tuning that prompt to get what you want has been the challenge, and I think we've overcome. At least for me, we've overcome a little bit using various frameworks that are out there. There's quite a few different prompt engineering frameworks that are out there, and being able to use them to your advantage. I think on kind of a larger scale of challenges, though, one of the things that we're running into, or that I think is a big challenge, is the idea of data privacy and IT. and some of those safeguards. So as more and more individuals are utilizing these various AI programs and not understanding how the data is shared or whatnot in the back end, it's a real large concern for our folks over in the IT realm of things. And in some cases, these are preventing progress because of those concerns. And so it's been a real challenge to try to, like, where's the balance between innovation and safety, right? It's just that real balance there between those two. And so that's been a real challenge. And then I know, Leonard, you were mentioning research. The other thought on challenges is that I myself, I'm in dissertation phase of a PhD, so I'm doing a lot of research on the balance of cheating with students and AI tools. But there's not a lot of research that's been published because, again, academia is a very slow, a slow moving machine. And so these things aren't published. We have none of that foundational content that's already out there. And so it's really hard to continue to grow this field when the machines in academia are really, really slow. So I think that we need to speed up our efforts in all of academia and research. And then continuing on with the research thought, if we had folks that were utilizing ChatGPT or other AI tools to create research, get it published, is the AI learning from the AI content? And then we have this never-ending feedback loop of the AI going round and round and round. And what are the repercussions of that? So, I mean, challenges, on the basic level, again, feedback prompts are finessing those, but then I think we've got some really big challenges just overall that we're looking at.
Yeah, definitely. Yuna, Leonard, would you like to add anything?
I think something that comes to mind, at least in the past, is really thinking about balancing that quality and speed. So in the L&D context, AI has definitely enhanced kind of what I was talking about earlier in terms of, at least if we think about the whole course creation process, what might have taken a course to create in hundreds of hours can take half of that, or even more, right? Or I guess even less, depending on how you see it, right? So really thinking about, never having to start from scratch. You might have an outline, it might not be perfect, but really thinking about how to balance that quality that you get from the AI, and really with the speed, how much time do we want to allocate to kind of the higher level up pieces of context, kind of like the Kirkpatrick model or Bloom's taxonomy. How can we allow instructional designers, L&D teams to really focus on those higher level application aspects of course creation and designing really great learning experiences, and really thinking about how to not how to strike that balance with ensuring that the quality does not compensate for the speed in which you can get something out there, is something that I've been thinking a lot about.
Yeah, for me, it's implementation, all right, and specifically with regard to my role as an instructional designer, how do I implement it based on the tool set that I'm currently using, right? Like, am I going to have to learn a brand new tool? And thinking about all of the techniques that data scientists employ, I'm curious to know, what are the emerging techniques? What are the new techniques? And how can I strip each one of those techniques to leverage them in my learning products or my courseware? And so that implementation for me has been the largest challenge, which it does speak to what Tracy was saying with regard to research. All right, there's not a whole lot of research in the area of AI implementation or specific to learning and development. So it's something that we definitely need to speed up.
Well, this time is flying so quickly. I know we have an hour for this session, and we all have to leave a little bit of room for a Q&A part for those that are watching this. And want to kind of maybe Andrea, we could lead into the next part with the Q&A. What do you say?
Think, what is it, 2:40? I feel like maybe the last question we have is pretty quick. If we give them, you guys can only pick one choice and you don't get to say, you just, it's the last question that I sent
It could
you.
be quick, yeah.
And I'm gonna ask it. And we're gonna go, the order we're gonna go in is Tracy, Yuna, Leonard. Okay? We ready? The question is AI our knight in shining armor or a formidable foe? And you get to only just say friend or foe.
Oh, wow.
And I preloaded this one with the Squire because it's still learning. But I'm gonna lean on the knight. If I have to pick only one, and it's not the Squire, I'm going knight.
You just said Squire. That's really good. I forgot that the
love
word
that.
Squire even existed.
Okay, one word I would also have to say knight. Leave it at that. Follow instructions.
Yeah.
I have thoughts, but I'll leave it there.
Yeah, if I have a lot of thoughts, but if I had to go with one word, I would say the night. Absolutely.
Oh, I love it. This is
Can I
great.
add
I'm
two
sorry.
words?
Oh, go ahead.
A cautious knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A toddler knight that you have to raise to being a responsible adult. It's like a knight that, you know, was born into the knighthood, but he's still learning, or she's
One step at a time. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, actually, so the first question that we got for the Q&A is related to this, so you can maybe expand on your thoughts, I think. And the first question is, we kind of talked about it earlier, but how worried should we actually be that AI is about to steal our instructional design jobs? We kind of talked about it, but any additional thoughts, especially related to knight or foe?
I'll jump in on this one. I think one of the best things that I heard is that AI is not going to steal your job. Somebody who knows how to use AI is going to steal your job. And so if you don't learn how to adapt, and with not just ChatGPT, that's just one, there are many other things out there. But if you don't learn how to adapt and innovate to the new technology, then you're going to become obsolete. And so it's not that AI is going to steal your job. It's here to help you and learn how to use it. And the person that does, they're going to take your job.
Yeah, I think the key to, I agree wholeheartedly. No, that's not something that you should be concerned about. But I think the key here is understanding that artificial intelligence at its core is not aimed at replacing the unique qualities of human beings and the unique qualities that we as human beings bring to the table. What AI seeks to do is minimize human intervention. And there is an opportunity within that space. It's just like the example that I presented earlier. Agriculture liberated us from the constant struggle for food, right? And so AI streamlines tasks. It frees our minds to explore new interests. So what is ultimately going to happen within instructional design is it's going to level up, right? You're going to have to learn you're going to have to know AI, right? You're going to have to know how to use it, and you're going to have to know how to harness it effectively. But it's like what Tracy said, if it's going to be somebody who knows AI that's going to take your job. It's not AI.
Yeah, I think it's really about the context and excuse me, perspective about our attitude towards AI, right? If we have that growth mindset, as both Tracy and Leonard, as you both mentioned, that willingness to learn, the willingness to adapt, the willingness to, be in community with folks that are using AI in a lot of different ways. I think that is really important in keeping that growth mindset and having that willingness to really think about and really be creative. I think going back to kind of what makes a human really innately human, perhaps is that creativity of really unlocking what are the different potentials that we might not yet know that we can unlock with the partnership with AI.
Yeah, definitely. Parker, do you have anything to say before I move on to the next question?
No, I see another question. Let's go with that. Yeah.
Okay, great. This one, Yuna, I think that you're gonna like this one. What ethical considerations should we be keeping in mind when using AI? We know we talked about proprietary information and things like that, but what else?
Think really quickly, I think, well, first of all, I love this question, this being interested in AI ethics. Something that that makes me think of is really thinking about who's accountable for the content that's being released. Is it the person that's prompting the AI tool, or is it the AI itself? And something that I really think about if we take another step in is the personification of AI systems. So for instance, when we think of Siri or Alexa or perhaps even Clippy, the Microsoft Word little assistant buddy, right? Really thinking about what how are they helping us? How are they helping us toward reach our end goal in terms of, what is our learning objectives? Why are we creating this learning module or learning content? But really thinking about who is taking accountability in who owns that content and who will be responsible if and when something might need to be iterated. So I think really thinking about those ethical concerns, and I think it would behoove folks to really talk about it with other people, amongst other people in across different industries. Because I imagine, and now that I'm in the health tech world, really thinking about, Tracy, as you mentioned, kind of HIPAA constraints, and perhaps some organizations are really cautious about whether to adopt AI. So I think really taking a step back and really thinking about what are potential uses and really being responsible in considering what aspects can we actually adopt it in a responsible and ethical way.
Yeah, as a software developer, or having experience with software development, I know how easy it is to program your bias into your code. And that is something that I think we really need to be paying attention to, especially as practitioners of learning, right? Like our products are going to influence in some way the mind of our learners, right? And so ensuring that we are not putting or embedding content or artificial intelligence software that holds bias is really, really, really important for me, and something that I'm actually doing research into myself.
And
I could just interject just for a moment to our LinkedIn viewers, for all of you who are watching this. Thank you for participating in today's event. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below, and we'll get to see them feed to us, and we will answer them as soon as we're able. So I just wanted to bring that in. I think, Tracy, you were about to say something.
Yeah, just to kind of round out some of the ethics and discussion. It's another hot topic for me as well. And my focus is on student cheating and the ethics related to students and their use of these generative AI tools, and doing research in that area. And where's the line on a helper or a cheater? And where's that line there for how we're using these generative AI tools? So there's a lot of ethics in all of these realms that really need to be researched and discussed and identified further. Absolutely. We are just at the tip.
Yeah. And Leonard, I want to support what you were saying, that even just like we were talking about earlier, just using ChatGPT, just the sameness and the worry about one point of view being the go-to, and one image and one type of answer and one type of person just always being fed out. Like I can already feel it in the tone.
Mm-hmm.
That is something we need to solve sooner than later. Like,
Yeah.
so I totally agree with that. We actually have a comment that I think we're all just gonna nod our heads and go, yep, but there's a comment in the chat, or in the comments of the LinkedIn Live, that says digital literacy or tech classes at the elementary level are almost non-existent. Hard to get support from higher ups to add it into the curriculum. Yeah, it's yep. And then I think we've got another question, and just know if we don't get to your question, we'll do another post or something where we'll, we'll harvest some answers from our panelists here and offer an answer later. So don't worry, your comment or question will not be ignored. We have another question here. What is your favorite generative AI platform or tool to use? And let's go with that first. What's your favorite tool? Anyone, jump in.
Right now, for me, it's been Chat GPT and Dolly.
Yeah, Chat GPT, obviously. Some of the other ones that I really, really like, Elicit, if you're not familiar with that, I use it for a lot of research. Research Rabbit is another research tool that I'm using a lot. Gamma is surprisingly interesting. It will generate PowerPoint presentations based on a prompt. So that's also very exciting. So yeah, there's a few, I probably have a list of like 20 that I think are just fantastic. And Dolly 3 and the renditions that we're able to come out within the Chat GPT script itself, fantastic stuff.
Yeah, I think I would just add, I probably use it on a daily basis, the Notion AI prompt buddy, I think kind of embedded with the GPT model under the hood, but that has been really helpful both in my personal life, just organizing different notes and different to-do lists, and also for work to really think about, speeding up kind of the thought as a thought buddy, or just speeding up the process of, getting things and tasks done, has been really helpful.
Yeah, there's a lot of great AI like built into existing tools that are coming, and it's really, it's cool. It's terrifying in a way that I'm like, oh wow, I just have to even just put this into a table, and Notion will just be like, boom, it's in a table.
Exactly.
Don't have to, especially because fiddling around with Notion can sometimes move stuff, and it's,
Yep. As me and you both very well know from our past projects.
Oh yes, Yuna and I are Notion buddies. Old Notion buddies. This is actually what you said, Yuna, actually goes into the second part of the question, and not just work related, but in general and work related. What are some of your favorite ways to use AI like in your daily activities that you've tried so far?
Ooh, so I again love Notion. Certain things like putting things in a table. I think also when we're thinking about the course creation process, really thinking about, you never have to start from scratch. So what I've always used professionally, at least, is, adopt a persona, really be specific about who you're writing towards, who the audience is, give it as much context as you can, again, with being responsible with the ethical considerations, and then build from there. So that's been really exciting to use, at least within Notion and even ChatGPT. I think personally, I've actually used it. I took a family trip to Europe a couple of months ago, and it helped me create a different itinerary, traveling to 3 different countries, and I just prompted GPT-3, or I guess GPT-4 at this point, give me a 10-day itinerary hitting these countries with these folks. We like to do outdoor stuff. We like to eat good food, and it came up with it. Not perfect, but it was just really exciting to see the potential in the travel industry, and just a personal fun creative use.
Great. Andrea, did you want to do that real quick? The next question on there, the newbie to AI about training videos.
Yeah, we can. So
make it real quick. Yeah,
real quick off the top of your heads. If there's someone who's brand new to AI, are there any, courses or training videos or anything to recommend on like where to start and how to use it, other than just try it out?
I found a great course on Coursera, and then on LinkedIn. LinkedIn Learning has quite a few very basic courses that we're just getting started.
Awesome.
I would recommend that you get a book called The 100-Page Machine Learning Manual. It is on Amazon. That is a very, very good book, and I'm drawing a blank as to who it's written by, but again, it's the 100-Page Machine Learning Manual. That's a great book to really start you on understanding what artificial intelligence is and all of the techniques that programmers and scientists use or employing for their machine learning and deep learning algorithms.
I think the one resource that comes to mind is really leveraging different online community spaces. So I have a friend that works at Coursera, Dr. Alexandria Urban. She's a leading learning scientist at Coursera, actually. So I think just being able to pinpoint almost, I'm a huge fangirl over her and her team's work. So I think just by reading their thought leadership, read through their research has been such a great resource for me personally. And it's, again, that adage of I don't know what I don't know, so that once I start digging into different thought leadership pieces, the research, it gets me really excited about, what other questions do I have? What am I really curious about? And then usually one post leads to another. So that's been really helpful for me to just seek out those thought leaders in the learning science space.
There's an endless, there's so much out there where we can learn from. But, to the question that was posted, one of the things that I subscribe to is an email newsletter called There's an AI for That. Now, it's not a tutorial or anything like that, but it is a database. And you get updates and emails about new AI tools that have been added to the database. So just imagine if you just wanted one website with a list of all the AI tools out there, that site, There's an AI for That, is a compilation of not only the tools, but the categories that they belong in, like writing or presentation or visual arts, things like that. So I would highly recommend subscribing to that, because they just keep coming. I mean, there's this tool after tool after tool. And when you go into the site, you can read a brief description of what each tool does. And then you can just click on the link, go to that site, check it out. Some of them are free, some are paid services. But it is like that fire hose we were talking about earlier in the session. It's just so much out there. So don't try to absorb everything, just pick a few. But it is a good resource to help learn. So, well, that said, we are approaching the top of the hour, and just wanted to thank our panelists for joining. Leonard, Tracy, and Yuna, a phenomenal discussion. I wish we could just keep on going. But just kind of wanted to give an overall summary that we have a lot of excitement, we have a lot to learn, but yet there are those challenges and things that we are concerned about, especially like in the educational world, the academia side of higher ed and K-12, that that feeling of potentially feeling left behind, it's taken a while to catch up. So we as businesses, we need to try to do more to try to reach out to our academic communities and find ways to help our students learn about the technologies, get up to speed quick, so to prepare them for the working world after that. The technologies themselves are just exciting. I mean, Leonard, you brought up some really cool things about the XR, VR, AR, and so did you, Tracy. Imagine yourself just standing on the planet of Mars and you feel like you're there. Or, as Tracy mentioned about, if you wanted to go back to the founding fathers and talk to them, what was going through your mind when you founded this country? So, there's so many possibilities. And we also talked about the development pipeline where we can, potentially use AI to speed up the development, but also be able to do more than what we were able to before because it took so long. So it's an exciting time to be in. And for those of you out there watching the session and wondering, if AI is going to take your job, I think you heard it from our panelists that AI is not going to take your job, but someone who knows AI will. So be mindful of that. So anyway, let's just I think wrap it up. I think Andrea, you had a couple things you wanted to wrap up.
Yeah, I want to echo thank you for joining us for our first LinkedIn Live and bearing with us. And I mean, we knew Yuna before, but Tracy and Leonard, they took a chance on an unknown kid, as I like to quote the movie Clueless, when Travis is thanking the teacher for his, award and being late. If anybody gets that, you can be friends with me. Oh, if not, it's fine. We can still be friends. But yeah, thanks all for coming. And we also want to announce, this is a fun announcement, that we're going to be releasing a comprehensive white paper based on the main takeaways from what we learned here today. So that's going to be awesome. And so the white paper is going to delve into the key takeaways, our expert perspectives that we have here, and some innovative ideas that we shared during today's talk. We want to offer a valuable resource for those interested in the intersection of AI and instructional design. It's going to be released for free on December 11th, but you can get your name on the waitlist starting Monday, November 13th. And so we'll share all the info that you need to sign up on Monday. Early reviews are calling it the white album of white papers. Meg Trainer, I'm sure she wrote that. And also, like the white album, if you read our white paper backwards, there's a secret message. You'll have to read it to find out. And I bet that actually is true. So please do that. But thanks again, everybody. I'm excited to do this again. The final thought I would like to leave with is I don't know that I want to know what the founding fathers were thinking because I'm scared to know. But I guess we would probably learn a lot, but I'm just leaving that out there. There's some things that may be better left unknown for now. I don't know. It's good to have transparency. But anyway, thanks everyone for coming. We hope to do a new one soon. So thanks for listening. Also, everybody on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.